My name is Daniel Cross, and I still remember the exact tone of her voice when she said it. I'm leaving you. No hesitation, no pause, just a cold finality that cut straight through me. We were standing in the kitchen, the morning light pouring through the window like it didn't care it was ending something sacred. My wife, Lena, had been distant for months. Short answers, late nights, and a kind of restless energy that filled the room with silence even when she spoke. I'd tried to believe it was stress, maybe work, maybe just life. But deep down, I already knew. That morning, as she stood across from me holding her coffee cup like a shield, the truth finally stepped out of the shadows. I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at her, searching her face for a trace of the woman I'd married 7 years ago, the one who once laughed so hard she cried, who used to dance barefoot in the living room on rainy days. But she wasn't there anymore. I've met someone, she finally said, her voice calm, almost rehearsed. It's not what you think, Daniel. I just need something more. The words hit like stones. I could feel the heat rising in my chest, the question swirling, who? When? Why? But I didn't ask. I just nodded slowly, and that seemed to frustrate her. Aren't you going to say something? She snapped. I looked her in the eyes and replied quietly, no. You already said everything. She stormed off to pack a bag. I sat there, listening to the sound of drawers opening and closing, shoes hitting the floor, hangers scraping. Every noise felt like a piece of our life being torn away. But the strangest part? I didn't feel broken, just empty. Like my emotions had stepped aside and were watching from a distance. When she came back down, dragging her suitcase behind her, she avoided looking at me. I'll come back for the rest later, she said softly. I nodded again. She hesitated at the door, expecting me to beg or argue. I didn't. She sighed and left. What she didn't know was that I already knew who someone was. A week earlier, one of my coworkers had seen her having dinner with Mark, a mutual acquaintance, a man I'd helped get a job just last year. I hadn't wanted to believe it, but the way she looked at her phone lately told me all I needed to know. Instead of confronting her then, I did something different. I spent the past week quietly closing our joint accounts, transferring my portion into a separate fund, and collecting the necessary documents. I'd built our company from the ground up, and although Lena had once been a part of it in the early days, she'd left when things got hard. The business was legally mine, every contract, every patent, every piece of intellectual property. Still, she always acted like it was half hers, as if her name on the early paperwork entitled her to the success that followed. That morning, after she left, I called my lawyer and told him to proceed with what we'd discussed. It wasn't about revenge, it was about protecting what I'd worked for. He confirmed that once Lena filed for separation, her financial claim would be minimal, especially given the evidence of her new relationship. Later that afternoon, as I sat in my office trying to focus, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lena, I'll come by tonight to talk. I simply replied, sure. She arrived around 7 p.m., wearing the same coat she'd left in earlier. She looked surprised when she saw the house was spotless, like she expected chaos, maybe even anger. Instead, she found calm. Daniel, she started, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just can't live like this anymore. You're too quiet, too distant. I cut her off gently. Lena, it's okay. You made your choice. She blinked, confused. You're not even upset, she asked. I shrugged. You can't lose something you already let go of. That's when I handed her a folder. Inside were copies of the legal filings, my company's updated ownership documents, property titles, and a short note that read, all shared accounts closed. The house is yours. I'll be moving out tonight. Her face went pale. What is this? She whispered. It's closure, I said simply. You wanted freedom. Now you have it. She stared at the papers, then at me. You're just walking away? I smiled faintly. No, Lena. I walked away the moment you did. I just waited for you to notice. I grabbed my jacket, picked up a small suitcase I'd packed earlier, and started toward the door. She followed, her voice trembling. Daniel, wait. I didn't expect, but I didn't let her finish. I turned to her one last time and said, you wanted something more. I hope you find it. Then I left. For weeks afterward, she tried to reach out, calls, messages, even showing up at my office once. I never responded. Meanwhile, word spread that the company had just signed a massive international deal, the same one Lena had doubted would ever happen. My lawyer later told me she had no legal claim to any of it. The man she'd left me for? He was fired from his job after a conflict of interest scandal. Last I heard, they weren't together anymore. People often ask me if I ever got satisfaction from what happened. The truth? I didn't need to. The peace that came from letting go, from walking away without bitterness, was enough. My wife said, "I'm leaving you." But what happened moments later left her speechless, not because I begged or fought, but because I didn't. I simply stood tall, smiled, and walked into a life that no longer needed her permission to begin.